Was I surprised? I wasn't. I was shocked, but I wasn't surprised, because if you have peripheral vision, you're going to sense these things out of the corner of your eye. You can't not know that this has been going on rampantly.
Spielberg doesn't need to raise his voice to ruin someone's career. Oh no, all it takes is a whisper from him, just one, and boom, Hollywood hits DEFCON 1. And honey, that's exactly what insiders say is going down with Rachel Zegler. Spielberg didn't go on a rant, he didn't throw a tantrum, he simply stepped back and let the walls collapse around her like a perfectly timed demolition. Why? Because the West Side Story shoot was an absolute nightmare. Quietly and oh so deadly, Spielberg has allegedly been making sure that no one, and I mean no one, ever forgets what she did. And when Spielberg withdraws his support, it's not just bad, it's a death sentence in this town. The studios panic, directors go ghost, producers suddenly forget your name. Because crossing Steven Spielberg, that's career suicide. First, Rachel Zegler was supposed to be the chosen one, the Cinderella story of Hollywood, the girl plucked from obscurity. She had the look, the voice, the fairy tale background everyone in PR dreams of. She was Spielberg's golden discovery, the next it girl.
Never let anybody tell you you can't do what you in your heart know you can.
We are. Look, I don't really like the term woke because I think it's an umbrella term that I'm not 100% sure I even know what it means, and one could argue that sometimes it's used too liberally. That said, our primary purpose is to entertain, and where we can entertain responsibly, obviously we try to do that. We try to have a positive impact on the world, but the first thing we need to do is entertain.
And the other thing is simply to use what you're using right now to get this interview, and you can make an entire movie on that device right there.
She was handed the role of a lifetime by the most iconic director on the planet. Can you imagine? It was supposed to be her dream debut, his passion project, and their mutual breakthrough. But behind the scenes, that fairy tale was already rotting from day one, and now that rot has spread into her reputation, her future, and the way the entire industry sees her. Spielberg hasn't said a word publicly. He doesn't need to. Insiders are whispering that he's been having plenty of quiet conversations behind closed doors, and let's just say they're not singing her praises. When he cast her, Spielberg genuinely believed he was launching a new era, a fresh face to carry the legacy of West Side Story into a new generation. This wasn't just any movie, this was his musical debut, a passion project that was deeply personal. He bet the whole farm on Rachel.
It's got extra musical numbers that are incredibly unnecessary, that really add to that runtime, and let me go ahead and let you know that they're absolutely f***ing atrocious.
I sat through the whole thing. This was really bad. It was extremely leftist on every political dimension. Racial politics, sexual politics, class politics, regime politics. Its narrative was cowardly. It was just off.
At first, everything looked perfect. Her audition, people say it was electrifying.
Now, I'm guessing that she's not married. I'm guessing that she doesn't have kids. The movie is a complete disaster, by the way. Hardcore.
They're petrified of some kind of backlash.
She wasn't just good, she was jaw-droppingly stunning. Spielberg was reportedly gushing. He told folks in the industry, "I found my Maria." And the buzz? Oh, it was real. Hollywood was ready to roll out the red carpet for her. But the second those cameras started rolling, a totally different Rachel showed up. Sources from set said she developed an attitude, and not the cute kind. That charming humility from her audition, gone, replaced with a diva mentality. Suddenly, she was allegedly trying to out-direct Spielberg. Spielberg? Like, really?
She came out and she said, "I apologize. Like, I went too far." But it wasn't sincere.
The new Disney boss babe, who is Rachel Zegler, the inverse.
She reportedly questioned scenes, gave out-of-nowhere rewrite suggestions, and even altered her own costumes without approval. Girl was acting like the director, producer, and star all in one. And don't even get us started on how she supposedly mocked the choreography, calling it too dated.
Too dated.
Oh my God.
They say all you have to do to make your wish come true is let it echo, 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 echo.
Imagine the audacity, trying to rewrite Spielberg's vision on his set. It didn't stop at a couple incidents. It became the norm. Crew members had to tiptoe around her. Spielberg's top assistants were raising alarm bells. This wasn't a one-off. This was every single day. At first, Spielberg tried to be patient. Everyone knows he mentors young talent like no other. But with Rachel, that patience turned into a daily war. She refused retakes. She pushed back on directorial notes. She wanted things her way, even if it destroyed the essence of the scene.
Controversy in Snow White. The dwarves have been eliminated in the live action.
Yeah.
Now it's Snow White and the 7 magical beings.
Wait, it's 7 and the magic magical beings.
Yes,
They won't even
that is
say
magical
and the seven
beings.
dwarves.
No, because they're not dwarves. For right now, that's the only jobs that are there.
This is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive.
Into this, the first villain Disney ever had. It's really getting myself into this big crown.
He guided her gently, like he always does with young actors, but she wasn't having it. She reportedly challenged everything: lighting, blocking, tone, not tweaks, arguments, full-blown argument with the greatest living director.
With the essence of the scene.
Pretending like Rachel Zegler is the first of them all when she looks like Lord Farquaad in the film.
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
And Spielberg, he was stunned. He felt humiliated. He had put his neck on the line to cast her, picked her over dozens of established, proven actresses, and this is how she repaid him?
It's actresses.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
Remaking the movie, they just got rid of the dwarves, but they have one token dwarf amongst these magical creatures. You actually just went backwards. You actually just erased the dwarfism side of it. The disability, like we're a disability group, you just erase that.
He started avoiding her, like actually avoiding her between takes. Instead of giving notes in person, he passed them through assistants. He began rewriting scenes after she left the set. Anything to keep the drama from derailing the film. His enthusiasm, it faded into disappointment, and then straight up frustration. He confided in producers, editors, even other directors. He's done, one insider whispered. He told people, she's not who I thought she was. And when Spielberg is done with you, that's the end. This town runs on whispers, not headlines, and Spielberg's disappointment becomes legend. Word on set was that even the crew dreaded working with her. Cold, distant, entitled, and get this, people reportedly preferred working with Ansel Elgort over her, and considering the dark cloud hanging over him at the time, that speaks volumes. She allegedly thought she was the biggest star on set, bigger than the film, bigger than Spielberg, bigger than the legacy of West Side Story. And that is when the quiet blacklisting began. He didn't call her out publicly. He didn't need to. In Hollywood, real power doesn't throw tantrums. It makes phone calls. It stays silent. Spielberg simply stopped mentioning her. When people asked about working with Rachel, he allegedly gave a shrug and said one phrase, not worth the risk. That one line, career death sentence, that one chilling phrase, not worth the risk, echoed through Hollywood like a warning siren. Book didn't need to blacklist her with a press release. All he had to do was stop vouching for her. Just stop saying her name in meetings. And suddenly, every door Rachel thought would open slammed shut. Producers started pulling back. One executive who had been thrilled to meet her reportedly changed their entire tone after a mysterious phone call from someone close to Spielberg. Overnight, her calendar dried up. Auditions canceled. Screen tests postponed indefinitely. Projects she was once attached to quietly recast. Writers began to yank her name out of scripts. Directors stopped asking about her. Nobody wanted to deal with the baggage. And make no mistake, her agents panicked. They scrambled to fix it, but by then it was too late. Spielberg had already moved on, and when he moves on, so does the rest of the industry. The casting pipeline dried up like a drought. The faucet was off. The only place still clinging to Rachel Zegler was Disney, and even that came with a giant asterisk. Why? Because they were already waist deep into pre-production for Snow White. Pulling out would have cost them millions, but insiders say even they were second-guessing her. Behind the scenes, Disney execs were sweeting. Leaked reports started circulating, test screenings were bad, focus groups weren't just unimpressed, they were offended. Rachel wasn't connecting with the audience at all. People didn't see a charming princess. They saw arrogance, entitlement, the kind of energy that makes viewers hit skip. Still, Disney tried to push through. They couldn't pull the plug. Not this far in. But as the press tour began, it all fell apart in real time. Her interviews were straight up cringy. In one now infamous clip, she mocks the original Snow White, calling it outdated, problematic, and the cherry on top, weird? She looked smug, disconnected, and fans, especially longtime Disney lovers, were not having it. TikTok lost its mind. YouTube commentary channels went nuclear. Twitter was a war zone of memes and roasting threads. Clips of her interviews went viral, not because people adored her, but because they couldn't believe the nerve. The same girl who was plucked from obscurity by Steven Spielberg, now dragging classic fairy tales while sneering through the press tour. It wasn't empowerment. It was mockery, and it backfired hard. Instead of becoming the face of a modern Disney revival, Rachel Zegler became the symbol of everything fans hated about reboots. Her confidence came off as condescension, her passion, arrogance. Her uniqueness, alienation. She wasn't a Disney princess, she was a red flag. Insiders say that even Disney realized this ship was sinking. Months before the film dropped, internal projections were slashed. Marketing was scaled down. International rollout? Quiet. Merchandising efforts were muted. It was like they were bracing for impact, because they were. And guess who else was watching this disaster unfold? Spielberg. He didn't say a word, but the silence was deafening. Every industry insider knew what was happening, and nobody, not one soul in Hollywood, wanted to go against Spielberg's quiet disapproval just to back Rachel. She wasn't just persona non grata, she was radioactive. By the time Snow White finally hit theaters, it was already over. The flop didn't shock insiders, they'd seen it coming for months. It was a slow matron train wreck, and the wreckage? Rachel Zegler's entire career. She had gone from Spielberg's Golden Girl to a cautionary tale, and the scariest part? She didn't even see it coming. While she smiled on interviews, posed on red carpets, and gave TikTok-ready sound bites, Hollywood was done with her. Spielberg had made his decision. And when a kingmaker turns his back on you, everyone follows. People forget that Spielberg isn't just a director. He's an institution. He's the reason some actors have careers. His endorsement can elevate a no-name to Oscar winner. And his silence, it can be just as powerful. When Rachel crossed Spielberg, she wasn't just acting up on set. She was burning every bridge before she even finished building them. And the moment he realized she wasn't the star he hoped for, he iced her out completely. No outbursts, no interviews, just silence. And silence in Hollywood is deadly. Let's not forget, this industry runs on whispers. And Spielberg's whisper, it's practically gospel. Producers, studio heads, casting directors, they all read between the lines. And when Spielberg says someone's not worth the risk, game over. It wasn't about punishing her publicly, it was about removing her from the conversation entirely, quietly, ruthlessly, permanently. And now, Rachel's story has flipped completely. She was supposed to be everywhere post West Side Story. Talk shows, red carpets, lead roles. Instead, she disappeared. The roles she thought would come pouring in never materialized, the meeting stopped, the buzz turned to static. Snow White was meant to be her redemption arc. Instead, it buried her deeper. And Spielberg, allegedly, never mentioned her name again. Not even once. It's like she was erased. Friends of Spielberg, directors who worshipped him, studio heads who owe him everything, they all took the hint. No one wanted to be the one who went against the grain. Not for her. Not for someone who challenged Spielberg on his own set. Rachel Zegler thought she was untouchable. She forgot who made her untouchable in the first place. Her downfall isn't just about ego or poor interviews. It's about forgetting the most important rule in Hollywood: don't bite the hand that feeds you, especially when that hand belongs to Steven Spielberg.